Celebrating 49 years on the air, award-winning Farm Week is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, world tension abounds. The result, more economic uncertainty. And speaking of uncertainty, food prices drawing attention, at least for now. Only time will tell. In Southern Gardening, want some killer thriller in your yard? It's easier than you think. And in our encore feature, another chance to meet the loggers of the year before they ride off into the sunset. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Thanks for joining us again here on Farm Week, made possible by Mississippi State University Extension. The president is trying to offer assurances the pain at the pump is only temporary, but other factors are at play, from a strike at a Colorado beef processing plant to a delay in trade talks with China. David Miller has more.
A 60-day suspension of the Jones Act, the measure that requires cargo hauled between U.S. ports to be moved on U.S.-flagged vessels, is an attempt by the Trump administration to help provide relief for high prices on goods and fuel. However, many economists believe the short-term waiver will do little to lower prices. As the attacks on Iran finish a third week, the pain at the pump is increasing. The average price of a gallon of regular gas is at $3.88 per gallon, up nearly $1 from a month ago, and diesel is selling for just over $5 per gallon. The prices only serve to fuel concerns over fertilizer prices.
Just have to really work hard to trim our cost and be as frugal as we can be, but still, provide the soil and the crop what it needs to grow and produce. So.
Farmers like Tom Waters of Missouri could be receiving some relief sooner rather than later, according to Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins, who offered some hope of getting relief from higher input prices.
The president is very aware of these challenges and these issues. We are very close to having an announcement on some solutions on what that looks like.
China's refusal to help the United States in the Strait of Hormuz could be a major reason for the 6-week delay of a planned summit between Presidents Trump and Xi. The rescheduling of the meeting prompted a limit-down sell-off in the soybean pits on Monday.
Over $5 a gallon.
As farmers struggle at the pump and the elevator, the price of beef might go up for consumers.
No raise, no work! No raise, no work!
Union workers went on strike Monday morning at a facility that usually processes 5,000 head a day for world beef processing leader JBS. Union leaders say 90% of the 3,800 employees at the Greeley, Colorado facility went to the picket line and are expected to stay there for 2 weeks. Fallout from the work stoppage may push record prices higher for cattle being harvested from a nationwide herd whose size is hovering at 75-year lows.
Another angle on prices, the cost to buy groceries continues to ratchet upward. Consumers could soon be faced with even higher costs. Reporter Jen Sullivan explains why.
Grocery bills continue to rise. A family of 4 now spends between $1,000 to $1,600 on food every month, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And farmers say those prices could go even higher. They're facing surging costs that will likely be passed on to consumers.
Our food supply is national security.
Kevin Maynard is a soybean and corn farmer in Missouri. He's been farming since 1982. Soybeans are used in a variety of products like animal feed, food, and bio.
We can plan and we can make the best decisions that we can, but it's all subject to Mother Nature and the cost of inputs.
By inputs, he means things like labor, machines, seeds, and fertilizer. The war with Iran has caused vast disruption to the world's oil supply. Most fertilizer is made from products from the energy industry. So as oil and natural gas prices rise, so does the price farmers pay for the necessary ingredient in their crop cycle.
I'm worried because most farmers have taken equity out of their farms for the last 2 years to just be able to keep going.
And now is the time farmers like Maynard are getting everything ready that they need for spring planting season.
We made a budget to put in a crop, and overnight we saw the production of that crop increase by about $53 an acre.
They're also facing surging gas prices. Most farm equipment takes diesel, which is averaging over $5 a gallon nationally, up 42% from a month ago. The American Farm Bureau Federation sent a letter to the White House recently urging the Trump administration to take immediate action and warned food prices could go back to 2022 levels when inflation reached 40-year highs. And farmers like Maynard will be forced to make tough decisions.
We just can't go any further, and that's the sad part.
Maynard says many farmers will raise their prices, and that could mean higher prices at the grocery store. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
In South Carolina, a program teaching inmates skills they can carry with them after leaving jail. Megan Gagnon shows us the first vertical farm inside the walls of a U.S. prison.
Inside of Camille Graham Correctional in Columbia, inmates are turning a new leaf.
We were joking around earlier that chicken used to be the big deal in the cafeteria, and now it's lettuce.
Rows of lettuce grow under LED lights year-round, rain or shine, all through a collaboration with SCDC, Impact Justice, and Amplified AG to create the nation's first indoor farming program right here. The project, 4 years in the making, is already changing lives like Bonnie's.
It's bigger than I think what a lot of people can possibly imagine. I almost want to say that you would almost have to be in this position to really, truly understand the depth of what a program like this inside a correctional institution means.
Controlled environment agriculture technology can produce the equivalent of 30 acres worth of crops in a fraction of the space, growing a consistent fresh product no matter the season.
Growing vegetables in a controlled environment is not new. This for us. This starts the healing process for everybody that's involved.
The program bringing together several agencies, each playing a critical role in expanding access to fresh, healthy food in prisons and lower-income communities. It also prepares women at Camille Graham Correctional for careers in modern agriculture and high-tech container farms. 15 to 20 women graduate every 5 months.
There's a lot of core values that that are implemented in this program, like accountability, commitment, discipline, integrity, perseverance, all these things, all these values, these core values that a lot of us didn't have a long time ago.
For women like Bonnie, growth extends well beyond these walls.
And Bonnie has already thought about her post-prison life. She says she wants to run a therapeutic recovery home that will include a garden.
On the lighter side, it's not a Michael Jackson song, although for me it could be frightening. It's a plant that adds visual drama to a container display. Here's Eddie Smith with Southern Gardening.
Container thriller plants are an excellent choice for those looking to add a bit of excitement and height to their potted arrangements. Typically characterized by their upward growth habit and unique foliage, thriller plants are the perfect choice for adding drama and visual interest to your space. A popular option for a container thriller plant is grasses. Blue dart juncus, with its linear, spiky blue-green foliage, can add texture to small containers. Red star cordyline, with its sword-like dark burgundy leaves, makes a great thriller plant. Papyrus is also a good choice with its umbrellic inflorescence with hundreds of thread-like rays. Using a dwarf canna lily or banana plant will provide height and interest to container plantings. For those looking for a bold statement, upright elephant ears can be a great choice. These plants have large, striking leaves that can add an exotic touch to your containers. When selecting container thriller plants, it's important to keep in mind their care requirements. Be sure to choose plants with similar watering and light needs and consider the size of your container when selecting your plants. With a bit of experimentation and creativity, you can create a stunning potted arrangement that is sure to impress. I'm Eddie Smith, and I will see you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a break right here, but don't go away. Coming up, an encore, the 2025 Mississippi Loggers of the Year. Timber is now the state's #2 ag commodity. Nearly 20 million acres of forested land, about 2/3 of all the land in the state. Somebody has to harvest all that wood, and one of them is this year's top logger, a company in business for more than 2 decades. This team has a reputation like few others, the Mississippi Loggers of the Year. That's coming up on Farm Week. Don't go away.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith. I believe that education, of which extension work is an essential part, is basic in stimulating individual initiative, self-determination, and leadership. I believe that these are the keys to democracy, and that people, when given facts they understand, will act not only in their self-interest, but also in the interest of society. I believe in intellectual freedom to search for and present the truth without bias and with courteous tolerance towards the views of others. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations, and their faith. I believe in my own work and in the opportunity I have to make my life useful to humanity. I believe that education is a lifelong process, and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families that I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
Time for the market report. Some big moves in prices.
Indeed. Seems the Iran conflict making waves. That and more. But first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then USDA reports on our livestock sector. And finally, in our row report, what really is causing prices to fluctuate. So, markets closed once again trending up with row crop split. Let's take a look. The week's biggest gain, lean hogs, up 11 cents, nearly a 12% increase from the previous week. The week's biggest loss, soybeans, down 64 cents, more than a 5% decrease from the previous week. So recently, the USDA released some new reports on livestock, giving us an update on how things look in that sector. We start with this month's cattle on feed, move over to milk production, and send out with our quarterly hogs and pigs. Here's what they had to say. In this month's cattle on feed report, cattle and calves on feed totaled 11.5 million head, down slightly from last year, and by slightly, by about 30 cows. Placement in feedlots during February, 4% up compared to last year. Marketings of fed cattle last month at about 1.5 million head, 7% lower than last year, and the second lowest since 1996. Other disappearance, which is animals gone from inventory but not sold or dead, such as being transferred to other pastures or feedlots, totaled about 50,000 head, 17% down from last year. In the milk production report, February milk production in the U.S. totaled about 18 billion pounds, up nearly 3% from last year. Production per cow averaged about 1,900 pounds, which is about 12 pounds higher than last year as well. Number of milk cows on farms, over 9.5 million head, 211,000 more than February last year. In the quarterly hogs and pigs report, U.S. inventory on December 1st last year, 75.5 million head, up 1% from 2024. Breeding inventory, nearly 6 million head, down 1% from last year, but up slightly from last quarter. Market hog inventory, about 69.5 million head, also up 1% from last year and last quarter. September through November 2025 pig crop, 35 million head, up slightly from 2024. Sows furrowing, about 3 million head, up slightly from the previous year, and these sows represented about 49% of the breeding herd. This week in our Row Report, we look deeper into the effects of weather and global events on crop prices. Analyst Mark Gold says extreme weather fluctuations in grain country, along with oil prices moving the markets, and we have some volatility to get through.
Yeah, how you look at the crop ratings in Kansas took a 4% drop. I don't really see how they nailed it so bad out there. You know, maybe they're looking at what's happening in the Gulf, lack of demand. Demand hasn't been great. Export figures been 350 to 400 on average. So, you know, I guess it's, you know, the old saying, wheat is a weed and you can't kill it. But, you know, I'm not the world's greatest agronomist, but I'll tell you what, when you put 20 degrees on wheat, 90 degrees in the space of a week and very little rain, the dryness, the fires and everything else, I can't believe wheat was lower for the week. I think that's, you know, with beans down 60 some odd cents, you know, it's going to be hard for any commodity to stage any kind of rally in that environment. I can't remember the last time we were limit 70 cents in the beans one way or the other. It's been quite a while. So, you know, we actually knew about it Friday that the thing was going to be delayed. You know, I don't know why they hit it so bad. And crude oil, which is really what's been moving this market, we closed, I believe the April contract closed on its contract high close. Now we're still away from that spike high, but you know, the crude oil is not backing off here. You know, you look at where the beans have come from, and the corn rally has been, you know, a fraction of that, really. You know, a 30-cent rally in corn, I think it could have been more. The problem is China doesn't need the corn. They got a lot of corn. They're trying to get rid of the wheat that's moving out of condition. They're feeding that. So they really don't need corn. So that's a problem out here. And we've been hoping that we'd see China buy some. But in general, the corn market hasn't acted as good as you would think because we're still looking at a huge carryout. And yeah, we're going to lose acres on the acreage report. But, you know, is 4 million enough to change the big picture out here? I don't think it is. So we still have a lot of corn to chew through. You've got to get the wheat out, and you're a long way from that happening. I really don't, you know, we've been planting more beans early. Is that going to happen now if we get the dry weather? No, they'll probably get more corn in first this year. But I don't see the wheat having a big play in terms of what it's going to do to the corn. I really don't. You know, anybody who thought once we took the moves into Iran that there was going to be a meeting between Xi and President Trump, I think was kidding themselves. They take 90% of their oil, China takes 90% of their oil from Iran. So are they going to be open door and happy about all this? I don't see that. So it didn't come as a surprise to me. I'd been saying it for the last 3 weeks. Don't count on this meeting happening. It's supposed to be 5 to 6 weeks out. We'll see if that happens too. So, you know, you have to accept the volatility for what it is.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets. Looks like we're still in a volatile market situation with weather and conflict the main drivers. Mike?
Thanks, Zach. Timber is one of Mississippi's top commodities, generating nearly $1.5 billion in revenue. Loggers have to harvest that timber, and one who does it on average better than the rest is Logger of the Year. Here's an encore report on the reigning winner of that title, P&M Timber in Carthage, Mississippi.
It's been a long, hard road, a lot of hard work, and it's really something to be proud of.
It's like a dream come true, I think, for Mark. He deserves it, in my opinion. He's a great logger, great businessman.
For more than 2 decades, P&M Timber in central Mississippi has played a vital role in delivering one of the state's most readily available and valuable commodities to the marketplace, timber. It hasn't always been easy. There have been some serious obstacles along the way. But Mark and Penny Wilkerson, she's the P, he's the M in P&M, have carefully, creatively, and effectively steered their company to the top of the mountain.
We got a goal of so many loads we want to haul, so we know what our job is when we get here every day. And if something breaks, there'll be two working on it to get it back going. And the way I set my job up, I keep two loaders side by side at all times. And that way, if one goes down, we still hauling wood because the other one's loading. Same way with skidders. If one breaks down, I still got another one pulling wood. And same way with cutters. If one breaks down, I got another one to go until we get that one fixed. So it makes it work pretty good.
I remember one year when the mill blew up, and that we didn't know what we were going to do, but they worked it out. We were able to haul somewhere else. We've had some pretty serious challenges over the years, but you just have to go with it. If you manage your money well and everything, I guess you can hopefully get through any challenges that come about.
In a couple of years, 60-year-old Mark will likely retire. The two of them like to fish and even have the state record for flathead catfish, 89 pounds, 8 ounces. And they love to travel. He's a sucker for westerns, and they may sell the company and move to the wide open spaces of Wyoming. But for now, he manages the woods and she manages the office. Between them, P&M is averaging 30 loads a day and keeping themselves and several employees busy full-time, felling trees and filling up logging trucks.
He started at the bottom and worked his way up, so he knows every aspect of it. And I think it takes that. I think you have to have the knowledge of everything, how to operate the equipment, how to get the trucks in here, how to, mechanical skills.
Mark has done just such a great job of just checking all the boxes for BMPs, best management practices. As an insurance professional, I'm always looking for, kind of the safety aspect of each job. His jobs are clean. All of the equipment is well maintained. He keeps everything spaced out apart. All of his guys are wearing high-vis clothing. He's got a first aid kit that's not even a first aid kit, it's a first aid station that is just amazing. Just little things like that, have really just made him kind of jump off the page. And then, going beyond just what you see out here in the woods and the stuff that he's doing, Mark's community involvement, the amount of money and time that he invests in local charities and churches and organizations, really just kind of highlights that going to the next level rather than just coming out here and doing your job. He's giving back. So that was part of it.
I've dealt with a lot of different loggers over my years in forestry, and I see the type of person that Mark is. Him and his family, Penny and the boys, Chad and Jim, all part of this business, and his crew's been with him all these years. He's always being innovative in the way he approaches the job. He doesn't just come out here and start logging. He walks the track a lot of times with a forester under the harvest plan. They decide what needs to be done. He's always upgrading his equipment. He went and got the self-leveling track cutter. He's got the bogie skidder you can put tracks on, low impact equipment that he can work when most people are at home. He can still be out here working as long as the roads hold up for the trucks.
Right now it's tough for these loggers. I mean, it's tough for anyone in our industry, but the loggers really face the most challenges because they're at the beginning stages of it. I mean, the cost of equipment has gone up significantly, the cost of just labor in general, and so the loggers have had to adapt. And Mark has done a really good job of adapting and staying on his toes.
Retired forester Mike Bell is Mark's best friend. They've known each other since before P&M got its start 21 years ago. If anyone knows Mark's dedication and character, and that of Mark's wife Penny too, it's him.
He wants everything to be right. Like I said, he's got a wonderful crew. He treats them wonderful. They treat him wonderful. They all just like family. And I wouldn't be scared to say anybody out here would help him do anything, and he'd help them do anything. They just that tight.
At times, Mark is a man of few words, humbly putting his best foot forward one work boot at a time. He knows there's still a lot of work to be done before he rides off into the sunset with Penny, to whom he gives a lot of credit for P&M's success over the years. She couldn't be prouder of him.
He is one of the best loggers around. and he deserves that award. And of course, I'm his wife, so I'm impartial. It's a dream come true for him. I'm so proud to see him recognized in this way. I'm glad he got to see it before he got out of the business. So I'm just thrilled for him.
I want to be remembered as a crew that done a great job, and they done everything they said they'd do. I always have done my best. So here I am.
Congrats again to P&M Timber, Mark and Penny Wilgerson, Mississippi Loggers of the Year for 2025, a title well deserved. And by the way, we plan to run our story on the 2026 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions this week. For scheduling reasons, we pushed that to next week.
It's always a big story, and this year the numbers were bigger than ever. Well, more than $500,000 raised in the sale.
You'll also meet Julian Chavez, a hardworking young man absolutely bound for greatness. Trust us. You'll enjoy everything this young man has to say. The 2026 Dixie National next time on Farm Week.
Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching.